There you go. Hey guys, welcome to the Brofessional Development Podcast. Today is Thursday, May 6th, and it's kind of lonely today.
Yeah, it's a little quiet in here.
Yeah.
A lot more room. Dan's not anywhere around us.
Yeah,
so
right.
A lot more room.
So Dan's losing some weight though.
5 pounds already.
Right. So for those of you that aren't watching, it's just Brad and I here today. Today is episode number 35, and we're going to talk about Scarcity versus Abundance Mindset. But before we get in, we figured we'd give you all an update on just kind of what's going on in our lives, because I think we've had some guests on, and it's actually been a minute since we've done an actual pod, right?
Yeah, this is about a month since our last real podcast, which was at the time just Dan and I. So
Yep.
We haven't had the full group, without a guest for, a month and a half now.
Yeah, it's been a minute for sure. So a quick update. I think since we had our episode where we went out to the First Form headquarters, we decided as a group that we were going to do 75 hard. So we are on day 9, 10?
10.
We're on day 10 of 75 hard. Let's do a quick update on you. What's going up on you?
So I've just been running a lot actually. And then, a lot of people kind of hate on like the going for a walk with your dog, but man, my legs, today's Thursday. I've done about 4 miles a day. So I'm already like 16 miles for the week, and my legs are just like beat. So that second workout's usually just a walk or something easy. I did some of your yoga last night, trying to stretch my IT band out because it's feeling it right now.
Yep.
But the biggest thing for me is just time management with work and kids and a wife. It just gets to be like a lot going on with not a lot of time. And when you really think about it, it's only an hour and a half, but just trying to like have the intent to put that in your day is tough.
Oh yeah, it's super difficult. And so talk about the universe kind of testing you, like when you start out with it. First off, like this is my first time attempting it. I didn't try it the last go around, but so I went fucking ham like the last weekend. Like I was out Friday, Saturday, went and had a few Sunday, topped it off Sunday night with like $22 worth of Taco Bell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like going in on Monday, like I was already kind of just hungover from the weekend, and I was out doing my second workout or whatever, run walk with my dog, and I get a call from my tenants that there's like a small electrical fire at my house. And this is day one, and I'm like, motherfucker. Like, so I gotta, my tenants are cleared out, I'm cleared out. I've got to plan my workouts. Like one day I lived at Bobby's house, one day I went to another friend's house, and it was just like bouncing in and out of houses, but having to like have professional clothes and then workout clothes. Yeah. And it was but like you said, like the time management piece right off the bat, it's just a motherfucker.
For sure the biggest portion of it, like for me. And I don't know what book, I know what book you're reading. You're reading the 75 Hard book, which I dusted off at the end of the first go around for me. And I'm reading Rich Dad Poor Dad right now, and I freaking love it, man. It's like, it's making me realize, especially here with tax season, it's like I need to start maybe doing a little bit different stuff with my money. So it's like really, really enjoying that part of it. That's probably my favorite part of 75 Hard is the reading part of it. So hopefully we take a little bit more away from it this time.
For sure. And just, again, we don't want to harp too much on it, but I think 2 things that I've taken away. One is, like you said, getting back in the habit of reading, because I was so focused on audiobooks and podcasts that I hadn't been reading. And then the other thing, when they talk about in the book, develop like the mindset behind the habits and like the deep stuff that they do. It's like, okay, 2 workouts a day, 1 outside. It's like, all right, yeah, you're going to have physical changes. But when he talked about how that second workout, no matter what the weather's like, and then I remember that there's been 2 days so far where it has been raining outside, and we were all sitting there talking. We're like, it wasn't fucking downpouring, but we were all just like, I fucking love this.
Yeah.
And it is that idea. It does give you a little bit of a sense of extra accomplishment when you're out there doing it, knowing that 90% of people would take that rain and say, okay, I'm just going to go tomorrow.
Exactly. And that's the rewarding part. Like you said, going for a run, you're going around in the park where there's normally, hundreds of people and it's raining and there's nobody out there. You can just scream, yell, do whatever you want. Nobody's going to hear you because they're all inside.
You could fucking run naked.
Hey, maybe I did.
Maybe we did. Yeah, we'll have to find out. Speaking of videos, follow us on TikTok as well. Our TikTok is pretty up to date. We're doing updates on 75 Hard, but we're trying to put out a lot more content into our day-to-day activities on what it is that we're doing, kind of the problems that we're encountering and how we develop solutions around those. Follow us on Instagram, hit us on our email, any of those if you have an OnlyFans inquiry. But otherwise, we can get into the topic. And again, that's scarcity versus abundance mindset. So we'll kick it off with some quotes and then talk about our personal definitions of each. Brad, what do you got?
So I have one from Tony Robbins, and it is, when you are grateful, fear disappears and abundance appears. So I just it's pretty straightforward. And I think as you start to dig into our conversation today, you'll see that having gratitude towards this mindset or in general, having gratitude makes you more aware of having an abundance mindset.
Yes, it does. And I was actually, I watched a couple of videos of his earlier today. We'll dive on that a little bit deeper. I'll jump into mine. And mine's actually from Oprah. And it's if you look at what you have in life, you'll always have more. If you look at what you don't have in life, you'll never have enough. And I think we're really going to hit on that here in a little bit, because it's not only just a woo-woo, like law of attraction, think it into existence type stuff, but there's actually like science behind your reticular activating system and how what you focus on, you tend to, tend to manifest, tend to attract, stuff like that. So that's what I have. Let's first focus on scarcity, because I feel like there's so many people in this world that have a scarcity mindset. And it's just been ingrained in them over generations and generations. So what's your kind of definition of scarcity, or maybe a scarcity mindset?
So for me, the mentality of scarcity is just referring to people who see life as a finite pie, meaning like here's the pizza and you took 3 pieces and now those 3 pieces are gone and there's never going to be any more. Instead of a person who's abundant, they're thinking, oh, hey, well, there's another pizza in the oven waiting for me that I get to have.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It 100% makes sense. And I think a lot of people miss that piece of scarcity mindset. Like, it's not only saying like, hey, there's only so much out there, but it's saying that like, I can't be happy for somebody else's success. I can't be happy when somebody else gets a piece of that pie, because that means that there's less for me.
Exactly.
That finite piece that you talked about, that goes for money, relationships, jobs, love. I mean, there's so many different areas.
Literally anything.
In anything
area that somebody would want, it applies for.
Yep. And so I think they have, like I said, they have trouble celebrating other people's wins and other people's success. And they come from a place of neediness and desperation, And I kind of relate it back to, like, I was thinking about it. I was like, you related back to like relationships. I know it's been fucking 20 years since you were single,
right?
But it's like, you've probably seen your buddies like that are single. And it's like, you've seen them, like, you go out to a party or you go out in just kind of any public or social setting, and you can kind of feel the neediness come off of them.
Yeah.
Like, they see a girl and then they, you kind of hear the story about how they're clingy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they just go over, like, head over heels for this chick, or maybe even like in a job, right?
Yep.
Like, if you're getting there, if you're interviewing for a job, you may have all the qualifications that somebody's looking for, but if you're hitting the recruiter and the hiring manager like every fucking day, like saying, hey, like, I need this job, like, I want this job, you just come off very desperate. And what that actually does is that repels people. And it's the same when you look at money or really any resource out there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like, it's easy to look at it from that dating aspect, or and money or jobs, because you have somebody that's applying for a job and they think that, oh, there's only one spot. This is like my only chance I have. I need to get this job here at XYZ company, not realizing that, yeah, there is that one job, but there's 10 other companies that are also hiring. And right now, if you can't find a job, you're doing something completely wrong, right?
Yep.
So it's like, you need to just be a little bit more aware of your situations. And I think that's why there's the mindset a lot more in the workplace, is because people are looking at as, there's only so many promotions, there's only so many raises, there's only so much time in the day. And I think people start to think about that way too much, other than trying to apply ways to make it work.
Yeah. And obviously we're a little bit biased, but I think it's kind of like a mindset that being an entrepreneur or a business owner kind of forms, right? It's just like, you can have an idea of how a company is going to start, but there's so many things, so much shit that's going to hit the fan that it forces you to innovate, and it forces you to find areas that you can grow whenever your plan goes to shit, right?
Yeah, and I agree, especially from the entrepreneurship aspect or a startup. is these companies, and it might be different for employees that are working at a startup in early stages because they realize that there are so many changes that are happening.
Yep.
And if you fear that change, you're in that scarcity mindset. As opposed to if you have that abundance mindset, you embrace it and you think, okay, well, how are we going to make this better, or how are we going to solve this problem, instead of just getting stuck on that one thing the entire time.
Yep. So do you have a definition now for the abundance mindset side of things?
The only thing I have wrote down is like the most crude thing in the world, and that there is plenty out there for everyone.
There is. And we've talked about this before. Like, I think you've made the point probably 6 or 7 times. It's like there's so much fucking, like, from a money perspective.
There's money everywhere.
There's so much fucking money to be made. And you say that, and we always piggyback off it because it's true. And it's, you know, to me, it's just the opposite, right? There's enough for everyone. Like, there is enough out there that everybody can literally make money. It's not finite. You know, you come from a place of personal worth and security, and you trust the process. Like, in my opinion, when you have an abundance mindset, meaning like, a scarcity mindset gets very attached to outcomes.
Yep.
Like, this has to happen, you know.
And when it doesn't, they're lost.
And then it's shit. And then, but the abundance mindset is, okay, this is part of the process. And then taking it as learning experiences as opposed to fixating on every single win or loss. And then there was this thing like the end game theory, right? It's a zero-sum game when it's a scarcity mindset, you know, meaning that like if somebody's winning, somebody else is losing. But the abundance mindset, I believe, is more of a giving mindset, you know, as opposed to take, because I have to grab as much as I possibly can.
And I think somebody who lives in a, you know, with the mindset of being, you know, a little nervous or not with the abundance is they don't take those risks. And I think that's why you don't see that in business, or, you know, as a business owner or an entrepreneur, is because if you want to be successful, you have to be willing to take risk. And, you know, that's something that not a lot of people are willing to do.
No, I'd agree. And I think a big reason that people have a scarcity mindset is they're conditioned this way. You know, I mean, you can go back to, you know, when we're talking like from an evolutionary standpoint, it was once an advantage, right? When we didn't know where we were going to sleep, where our next meal would be, you know, and what we would do is we would fixate. We would focus all of our brain power on getting to that next meal, getting to that next spot to sleep, because it was imperative for survival.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And now people can literally go anywhere and get food for anything they need, where, you know, and they still somehow find a way to bitch about it.
Yep.
So
no,
that's what's crazy.
I agree. And then not even from an evolutionary standpoint, but like just from like our family. So I personally grew up probably more in an environment with a scarcity mindset, you know, just because there was never necessarily enough. But I also think about it, and I kind of wanted to get your take on this, and kind of relate it to like the problem that we have with America right now, that 66% of families are living paycheck to paycheck. And it's because people get in this mindset of, you know, I was a kid, I would do my chores, I would spend my money, or I would get money, and I would get to go spend it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I would get in this cycle as a kid where it was like, okay, chores, money, spend. Chores, money, spend. So I would do the work, get the money. My reward would be to spend that money. So I would get essentially like endorphins would be released like every time I would go spend that money. So that's how I started to develop habits
like
down the
Pavlov's dog, right?
Pavlov's dog. I
Same
get that
thing.
money, I'm salivating,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
And then as a kid, it's like toys and shit and whatever. And it's like when
Pure shit.
Right. When I graduated, it was just like, okay, now travel, this, now this. And we're conditioned to just, and I think it just, I guess, piggybacks off it and makes us focus on the now and the immediate as opposed to the down the road stuff.
Yeah, and I think honestly, it's like the perfect question for me right now since I'm reading Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And it's literally, I think the biggest issue with that is our education system. You know, we don't emphasize enough on, you know, the value of money or the importance of money. It's like it's all relative. You know, you could make $100,000 this week in a bonus or something, and odds are you're probably going to go celebrate that and purchase something with that $100,000. It might not cost $100,000, but what you purchase might cost you $100,000 over the next 5 years.
Yep.
So it's like, I think that's probably, for me, it would probably relate a little bit more back to our education system and the fact that, you know, that's not taught anywhere right now. There's nobody that says, hey, you know, this is what you should be thinking about doing with your money. It's like you said, when you're a kid, you have no responsibilities essentially, right? So you go do a chore, or you cut your neighbor's yard, you're going to go spend that $20-$30 on whatever the fuck you want.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. And so going back to that like Pavlov's thing and then kind of relating it back to the scarcity mindset, it's almost when we've talked about this a couple times, like if you're broke and poor and horrible with your finances and you go out and win the lottery, chances are you're going to be bankrupt
for sure
within 5 years.
Same thing.
Right? So it's not necessarily, so the cure to the abundance mindset or the scarcity mindset isn't necessarily making money, right? And we'll kind of, I guess this is a good transition. There's a couple of things that you can do. One is just being proactive about stuff instead of being reactive. But I know you've got a couple of things. What are things that people can do to shift from scarcity to abundance?
So a couple of things that I have is positive self-talk, because a lot of people who live in that mindset, they say, oh, I'm never going to be good enough, or, oh, I'm never going to have this. And instead you should say, oh, well, I have 10 years experience of doing this. I'm really good at it. Or I want to figure out how I can make X amount of dollars, and these are the steps I'm going to take, instead of just throwing in the towel beforehand. Because believe it or not, your brain's like one of the strongest things you have. And the more you believe in yourself, the better the results are probably going to be down the line.
Yep.
I think, this is something else we always kind of touch on and everything. It just makes sense, because you want to surround yourself with good people. You want to be around people who are pushing you and encouraging you to go after those things and say, yeah, there is that money out there. There is that opportunity for you. Go do it. Instead of that person's like, oh, no, like that's not a good idea. Like, I don't think
playing
you can
it
do
safe.
it. Yeah. And then a couple things is to enjoy the journey. While you're going through this process of trying to win, is you need to be grateful for the little wins that you have along the way. And that's something that I personally, like, I look back on and I'm like, I see where I'm at now, and I love it. And I think there was a portion of that time where I kind of didn't, I was so in it, you know what I mean? That I didn't really appreciate what I built. Yep. And I think now I'm at the point where, I've got this new employee, not new, he's been with me for about a year. He's about ready to graduate. And, like over the course of the last 2 weeks, I've seen how much this kid's grown. And like, I know where that's going to push my business in another year.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm like sitting here thinking like, I need to appreciate where I'm at right now, because a year from now, I might not be sitting at this table doing the work I'm doing. I might be sitting in a totally different office while somebody else is in my spot.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a great take on it, is appreciation. Because honestly, like, I think I was just talking to Dan about this. If you'd go back like 2.5 years before I broke away on my own, and I told you I was here, I'd be like, dude, you made it. Like,
yeah,
you did exactly what you wanted to do. Like, you hit some financial goals. Like, you've got X amount going away to savings. You've got this nest egg. You've got like a real estate investment. You got a business. You got employees. You got money coming in, and you can kind of do what you want. And that shit changes, right? And it all comes back to gratitude. And it's funny that I had your quote by Tony Robbins there, which is, when you're grateful, fear disappears and abundance appears. So from there, I kind of want to kind of parlay off that into what Ed Milet talks about a lot, and that's your reticular activating system. And Google it if you really want to
Can
get
you spell that?
Reticular, Reticular, only because I got my fucking notes in front of me. But if you really want to get into the weeds in it, check it out. But essentially, the nuts and bolts is it acts as a filter to what you're going to focus on, right? So it's like, okay, I'm taking a look at what kind of car that I want to get. I will end up buying a Toyota 4Runner. All of a sudden, I start seeing this Toyota 4Runner everywhere. And it's not because everybody went out and bought that, but it's because you told your mind to focus on that and filter out everything else, or to filter in anything that would relate to a Toyota 4Runner. In the same sense, if you focus on your appreciation for what you have, you will start noticing more that you can have. If you start focusing your appreciation, the opposite of appreciation, if you start focusing on everything that you don't have, nothing will ever be enough, no matter what comes into your life.
And it's amazing the amount of people out there that are like that. Like, it's unreal. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I've been around a couple people who, you could tell them the sky's blue, and they'd say, no, it's fucking not. And I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You
Yeah.
know? And it's just, I don't know if that's something that's built up over years where they were in a bad situation or they were surrounded by bad people, but it blows my mind that just, it never clicks with somebody like that. They don't realize that they're being like that.
Yeah. And so I was actually listening to a podcast right on the car ride here that was talking about it. And it says scarcity mindset can put people in, like legitimately put people in tunnel vision. Like your brain capacity, you only have so much to focus on. So again, back in the day when it was food and shelter, like your mind would focus, let's say like 80% of its capacity on my next meal and my next spot. If you're just focused on like anything that's negative in your life and that's all you're focused on, you're blocking out every possibility of making that better.
Exactly. You're not seeing every other situation around you that is good. And you know, on the flip side, I do think having a scarcity mindset at times is good. And the reason I think that is if say you have a deadline of tomorrow on a project you need to get done. I mean, you do need to realize that there isn't a lot of time. And I do need to figure out how I'm going to attack this situation. So I do think there are situations in micro doses, I guess, that are really good to have that mindset. But overall, if you want to be successful on a large scale, on long term, I think you have to have an abundant mindset.
Yeah, I believe that 100%. And so one of the examples I was listening to a Tony Robbins video, and he said he was sitting down with Jim Rohn. So if you don't know who Jim Rohn is, he's like the godfather of self-development and self-help books. So he asked Tony, like, what does it take to have true economic abundance? And he goes, you've got to bring value to the marketplace. And Tony Robbins was just like, well, what does that mean? Like, that doesn't necessarily make me money. And then he sat there and explained a little more. And if you think about it, it's like, even though you technically pay people hourly, right? Yeah. You're not paying them for their time, right? You're not paying them even for how much effort they put in. We get paid, and you've heard this time and time again, we get paid for the value that we bring. So you sit there and you think about it, it's like even guys like us, like there's people out there that are making 2, 3, 5, 10 times more than us.
Yeah.
10 times more than us.
Easy.
And working the same, if not less than we are.
Yeah.
And why is that? It's because their value is directly correlated to the amount, their money that they're getting is directly correlated to the value that they're providing. So another tip is to do more for others than anyone else on earth. And that sounds, I want to say you should do that just from like maybe a human perspective, but I don't want to sound cliche. Like I literally believe like if you feel like you're in a scarcity mindset and you go do something for somebody else, there's going to be a weight lifted on your shoulder because you realize that you had something to give, whether it was money, time, or advice, or whatever the fuck it was to somebody. And then, in my opinion, if you continually think that way, and I'm honestly, like I say this as I'm trying to shift my mindset to this way, the more you get into what can I do? Like, what can I bring value? Yes, it's good. It's great. You might get into heaven easier, what the fuck ever. Like, but literally, you're training your mind to come up with solutions like the Dr. Jason Selk, relentless solution focus. You're training your mind to say, what can I do to bring more value, more value, more value? And you're eventually going to get fucking paid for it.
Yeah, exactly. And this goes a lot back to our minimum wage podcast that we did. So everybody go back and listen to that one.
Yes.
But I do. I think I have wrote down here that I kind of skipped over on things you can do, but I said that you should approach every situation as a win-win, meaning like what can you provide to your customer or your friend that is going to be something that benefits them that is more than they expect. And in return, like you said, that weight's going to be lifted off your shoulders because they're going to realize like, oh, wow, look at what he just provided for me. I didn't even expect that. So
exactly.
I think that's an interesting take on it.
Yeah. So it's a really good way to shift your mindset. So if you're ever feeling like you have a scarcity mindset, go out and do something super simple for somebody else that you know could help. We spit some fire there.
We did.
So that's all I have on that, but we've got, I guess, two things. One, we're going to start doing is we're going to start reading off reviews that were left by people, but not only reviews, we're going to start reading off the negative reviews. So we've got a saucy 1-star review that we figured that we could share with the class.
Yeah, we sure do, everybody.
Who's it coming from?
It's coming from overseas, from Great Britain. Their name is Nitsua125. So holler. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
And what they had to say is just what the world needed. A bunch of white guys discussing hard work while completely failing to recognize the true issues in society. Avoid at all costs. So we really appreciate that. Taking the time, first of all, to write a review.
What was the title of it called?
It doesn't have, it has, sorry. I skipped over the best part. The title to everybody was Privileged Garbage.
Privileged Garbage. So we're talking to our manager right now, but we're considering changing the name to the Privileged Garbage Podcast. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah, but thanks for taking the time to actually write a review and to give us a rating. I mean, hey, we appreciate that.
Yeah, so we kind of joke around about it, but we got some engagement from, what was his name? A guy from... So we were obviously fucking just on fire in Denmark.
Yeah.
And then there's a surrounding country. I want to say it's...
Norway.
Norway.
Yep.
Yeah, we had a guy that thought the minimum wage, minimum skill set was our best.
Yep.
And then commented and says, I thought that was it until I heard Andy Frisella drop some bombs. I can't wait to listen to more content coming up. So, I mean, guys, we're fucking taking over Scandinavia right now.
Yeah. And today we hit... the top 200 in New Zealand. So South Pacific, how you doing?
I mean, fucking holler at your boys.
Yeah. So I mean, we're just world traveling right now.
Yeah.
But no, we really do appreciate all those reviews. And hey, throw one in. We'll read it next week.
Yeah. Throw one in and feel free to be funny with it. Even if it's a 5-star. If you want to give us a review.
5 stars are better.
And make it funny and talk about me being bald or Brad looking like a grease monkey.
Every day.
We'll read it on here, but we appreciate, honestly, it's just fucking funny the fact that people actually take the time to write that on us, which it means we're doing something remotely right?
Changing the world somehow.
Changing the world somehow.
As long as you're making noise, we're doing something right.
Exactly. So before we get going, we've got one more piece, and that's going to be the OnlyFans inquiry. So the question today comes from Tom Greene, and it relates to our topic.
Is this bum on your computer?
This is bum. No.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, Tom Greene. My bum is on your lips.
Yeah.
My bum is on your lips.
My bum is everywhere.
Yeah.
He just put that thing everywhere.
Yeah, Tom Greene. Probably his best piece had to be Road Trip, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The guy reminds me of Bobby on there.
Yeah. Which one?
Not from how he looks or anything, but just from his stories. Where they're on the bus and he just got done with
when he said I had sex with a girl,
and he's like, I boinked her. Just after a story I heard about when you guys were in Florida, just made me think about that.
Yeah. And just to be clear, Bobby did not boink anyone. I'm pretty sure he's saving it for virginity, but we'll
for sure did not boink anybody. Yeah.
We'll save that for another time. So, OnlyFans inquiry from Tom Greene: can abundance mindset lead to complacency? And are we called to live and operate in both? So, if I'm getting this right, it's if you have like an overly abundance mindset, is it kind of like throwing on rose-colored shades type of deal? Like, is everything just so great and there's so much that it can force or it can kind of push you not to work as hard? And then are we called to live and operate on both sides? What do you think?
I think we are, like I said earlier, but I think it needs to be in like micro doses. I think you have to, in big picture thinking, you need to be abundant. But then I think when it comes to like, let's get this shit done, I think you do have to have that scarcity mindset. Otherwise, I don't think you'd really maybe ever get anything done.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I do. And it kind of goes back to, God damn it, what, there's, I don't know if it's like Friedrich's Law or whatever it is, but it's just, it's basically one of the universal laws that says you will complete a task based on the time that you allot yourself, right?
Exactly.
Like if you look at it in terms of like when you're given a project, right?
Yeah.
The teacher says, okay, class, you have 2 months to complete this project. If you get 2 months to complete it,
it's probably always going to take you 2 months.
You're going to finish probably the day before, if not like right before the class starts. If you're given that same project and you're given 3 weeks, guarantee you can still complete that project. And it kind of goes to the mindset of, I guess, what we talked about with being proactive, right?
Yep. Okay. And I totally agree. And that's something I deal with all the time at work. I'll tell a client, I'm 3 weeks out on that. And I probably could get it done a lot faster than that. But because I told them 3 weeks, I just know I have 3 weeks. And the last week, I'm busy doing their stuff instead of just like steadily doing that project the whole way through.
Exactly. So it's obviously good to have an abundance mindset. But, just knowing that shit's out there that you want, whether it's money, relationships, a new career, whatever that is, just knowing that it's out there isn't enough. We harp on this all the time when we talk on law of attraction because we love that shit, but it's nothing without action. It's nothing without you defining some steps, setting some goals, and then taking the steps necessary to go after whatever that is.
Totally.
Cool. So probably a little bit of a quicker one. I don't even know. How much time are we running right now?
Let's see. That was like 30 minutes. Oh. So yeah, not too bad.
Actually pretty solid.
No fluff in there. Just solid knowledge.
Just straight fucking fire.
But what about, hey, let's let the fans know what we got coming up here. Because we got another round of guests coming in, guys.
Yeah. So really good call. So next week, we're actually going to Dr. Jason Selk's house to record a podcast. I think all four of us are going to be there, along with a camera crew.
8,000 square feet. You think there's going to be enough for us?
So I feel like there could be. Brad already looked it up on fucking Google, of course.
See if there's enough room in there for us all.
Yeah. If you haven't checked out Dr. Jason Selk, he isn't as active as Ben and Andy on social media, but still give him a shout. He produces good content. That's Dr. Jason Selk. His new book, which I'm not finished with, but Brad read, is called Relentless Solution Focus. And Brad loved that one, right?
Yeah, it was a great one.
Yep. He's also known for, my personal favorite is Executive Toughness. If you haven't read that book.
That's one put him on the map, right?
That's the one that put, actually, I think.
Or was it
10-minute toughness.
10-minute toughness.
10-minute toughness. So he was the mental training coach for the 2006 St. Louis Cardinals. And actually, I think part of the reason that they ended up winning a World Series that year, and it had been like 20 years or something since then helped them again in 2011, works with, high-level executives, athletes, very similar space to what Ben Newman is in. And actually, Ben might have talked about it, but he used to coach Ben Newman. So he's a guy that we're super stoked to be on. And then he co-authored the book with Dr. Ellen Reed.
Yep.
And Dr. Ellen Reed just agreed to be on with us, and she's going to be coming on June 4th. So we've got some guests coming on. That being said,
we also got Chris Gronkowski coming on, the ice shaker.
I did not know that.
We do. We just got to iron out a time. He's like begging us to get on.
Really?
So, yeah. So
fuck yes. We're going to have one of the Gronks on.
One of the Gronks. Who knows? Hey, maybe we'll have a surprise guest. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
You got to tune in to find out, right?
Yep, that's it.
Yep. But that being said, we love the feedback that you all are giving us. We're going to put a post on our story for any influencers that you really love absorbing their content and you want to hear them on the podcast. We can't guarantee it, but if we hear enough about anybody, we'll go after them. We'll cold call them.
90% chance they'll come on.
We'll try to find a phone number or something just to get them on. But again, we appreciate you guys listening. Hit us on Instagram, TikTok, or email if you have any questions or feedback. Smash that subscribe button.
That's it.
Yep.
Subscribe, review, unsubscribe, resubscribe.
Yeah,
the whole deal.
If you unsubscribe, resubscribe, our numbers could go up.
Yep.
I just found that out, so feel free to do that to boost our numbers.
If you got an extra hour, just sit there.
Just sit there, constantly do it. We should hire an intern to do that.
We should create a bot to just boom, 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 boom.
If anybody wants an internship, holler at us on Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.